So luckily, it's pre-recorded, so I get to edit
You're
off
gonna edit.
stuff.
Okay, awesome. Go.
If we just nosedive, just it gets really ugly, we'll stop it.
Won't happen.
Yeah, it won't happen. Hey, everybody, this is Chris with Barner Breakdown. I have the privilege of having our guest with us, Jellinek, with us, and she's the executive director at Sandpoint Community Resource Center. And so Linnis is with us, and we're going to talk about the Resource Center. We thought that for our first episode of the Barner Breakdown, we want to set a tone. So we've got 4 first episodes. You're being episode number 1, and then we have 3 mayoral candidates as episodes 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to be diving into a lot of different topics here, moving into a lot of things that some people will love and some people won't, but we want to highlight the amazing things that are happening in our community.
Awesome.
When we started this podcast video series, however you want to call it, online show, however, it's kind of it's not specifically a video podcast, not quite a podcast, it's not quite a Facebook show type of thing. So it's kind of in a weird category right now. We'll figure it out. But we had 3 main objectives. The first objective was to have a conversation. We really want to create a capacity to talk about all different types of things, and then we want to create connection. That's one of the reasons why we want you here, because you're a connector. Your organization connects people. It does amazing things, and so with that, we want to focus on connection. Last is celebration, and find what are the amazing things happening in this community we can celebrate. Really enjoy. So welcome to the show. We're glad to have you. Glad to have you with us. Yeah, it's great. So, Linnis, tell us a little bit about you. We'll dive into the Resource Center, but who are we talking to today?
Okay. Well, I'm a native of the Northwest.
Okay.
But not of Sandpoint.
Okay.
So I was born and raised in Washington State, and spent almost 30 years in Silicon Valley, California.
Okay.
And we decided about a year and a half ago it was time to come back to the Northwest. So we landed here in Sandpoint.
Great.
And we're loving it.
Great. And so you came back here. What were some things you were doing over those years in the Bay Area?
Well, I was in management for Charles Schwab and Company in Silicon Valley, and my husband had a surgical practice.
Oh, good.
And we moved to Lake Tahoe, which was our dream for about 9 years.
Great.
And it was just kind of time to move on from California. It was getting a little kooky.
A little kooky. Okay.
So.
Yeah.
That's how we ended up back here.
Okay, great. And then, so you move up here. How long ago did you move here? Was it
about 16 months ago?
Okay, great. And so. I'm assuming there's a level of like, hey, we're kind of retired now, or were you looking for work, or? Well,
I just at a place in my life where I still want to influence. I want to make impact in my community, and that's important to me. So I took this position in January. It's the first ever.
How'd you hear about it?
I saw it on a job board.
Okay, cool.
And actually, they were interviewing for an office manager. And after talking with a couple board members, I said, you don't need an office manager, you need an executive director.
Right, yeah.
And I really wasn't thinking me. But I just thought for the needs of the organization, that's really where they needed to go. And, as they say, the rest is history. Here I am.
The rest is history. That's awesome. Yeah. So you dove in January. So you've been there over 10 months, almost 11 months now. That's amazing. And how's it going?
It's going really well. We was kind of tasked with simplifying our message, clarifying our message, because we have 3 real pillars of influence that we have, ways that we strengthen our community. And the message was a little blurred. People weren't quite sure what we do.
Sure.
So, first and foremost, our 3 influences are get help, get connected, and get involved.
Love it.
So get help is the reason we exist. That is the resource center itself. And we really are a hub there of resources so that people can really make one phone call. Because what happens, Chris, is that people have an urgent need and they might delay getting some help. And pretty soon they've got a multi-need crisis and they don't know where to turn. So actually our mission statement is dedicated to bringing hope to people who don't know where to turn. Pretty simple.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And we know that in this community, there's a lot of people who want to help and be helpful in all types of situations. And yet a lot of people don't know where to go in order to help. They also don't know where to get help or how to get help. We deal with that a lot here at the housing agency. We get the housing calls a lot, and it's just there's challenge after challenge after challenge. And so it's always good to be able to say, well, if you want to be able to really have full access to all the services that are in the area, let's connect you with the resource center. Because, as you know, one area, let's say they're having a hard time paying their rent. Well, actually, that's a whole multitude of other snowballing, cascading issues that all need to be dealt with, right?
Yeah, well, we serve Bonner and Boundary County, and the numbers, actually, you're probably familiar with United Way's Alice report, asset limited, income constrained, employed. So it's the working poor. These people are living on a tightrope, and one unexpected expense can create a spiral.
Wow.
And so if we can catch them at one, and that's why it's so good to have ambassadors like you out there that know what we do and refer, because if we can catch them at one, we save money on the whole system.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it does snowball.
It does. It does. And it's amazing how fast it cascades.
Yep. We have trained resource specialists who go through a two-part, pretty thorough training. And then they sit with our lead resource specialist before they're really cut loose one-on-one with clients, so that they're comfortable with the resources. And really what we do, we came up with something, we create a map, a mindful action plan.
Good.
And people will, we say, don't do this, do this first. And when you're in crisis or even have an urgent need, you really need somebody to
help direct that.
Yeah, and our resource specialists, we have such a connection to our service providers, which I'll talk about because that's our get connected. And our resource specialists, they're so compassionate and they're so well trained to ask questions and listen, and we uncover sometimes people don't even know they have multiple needs.
Wow.
And we'll even go as far as to call a service provider and say, does this sound like a good referral for you? And so it just really makes people think and believe again that someone cares. Someone really cares about them.
So what's the process? If somebody's in a crisis, and they call SCRC, and they are looking to get assistance, what does that look like for somebody who's needs help, but maybe has never called or asked, and they're calling in because they're desperate? How does that usually go?
Let's back up to there's 4 ways that people can get help. Of course, they can call. They can email, and we'll reach back out to them. They can, of course, come in, which is what we really recommend. Come in face to face, eyeball to eyeball, and let's figure it out. Or what's really taken off the last year is the self-help directory on our website. They have access to everything that our resource specialists do. Because, when people are in crisis, they're scared, they're ashamed, you're dealing with so many emotions that sometimes offering some anonymity to get going
Sure.
is
Absolutely. Yeah.
really
Wow.
a powerful step. And so they take that first step, and then they may call us at that time and say, I've been on your website. I'm not sure. There's so many choices. And we know how to really ask the questions and just drill down to find out what
good.
are the other needs.
Good.
Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. It seems like the anonymity piece, I think, is really important for a lot of people. Our culture has changed in America, but we used to have a culture where there was some shame attached with getting help.
Yeah.
If you weren't independent and able to handle it on your own, and I think there's a lot of that up here. You know, I think in every small town, I'm sure,
Yeah.
it's the case. But there's something specially independent about North Idaho.
Yes, there is.
Right, you know, like I'm gonna make it happen, and we're gonna do it on our own. And you know, what's one of the beautiful things about community is that if any one of us is struggling, we're able to help each other.
Yep.
And that is one of the things I absolutely love about North Idaho. Just seems like there's always a whenever there's big needs. I even saw something in the paper today, and I'm like, you know what? We're willing to always rally around each other and help each other, and yet there's those moments where you don't necessarily want to have that conversation with somebody about what you're struggling with. And yeah, you know, I mean, being in ministry for years, I see that a lot too. You know, it kind of gets to the very last moment of last resort help, you know.
So to that point of community, our one of the other pillars of influence that we have is our SPIN network. That stands for Service Provider Information Network. And over 2 years, we have pulled together over 200 service providers who are willing to help people in need, and they're there for us, they're there for our clients, and they're there for everybody. But I really see the SPIN community as a real asset now in our community.
It's huge. Yeah.
Because you've got people who want to collaborate, they want to solve the issues, they want to solve the problems, and you know that we meet, we've done 4 meetings a year, so every quarter. And in 2019, we've addressed access to health care, mental health, substance abuse, and the one coming up November 12th, shameless plug, is urgent housing solutions.
Yeah.
And if you think you've heard it all, that, you know, basically what people come down, there's no housing. There are solutions. We just got a great email about 2 warming shelters in Post Falls and Coeur d'Alene through St. Vincent de Paul's.
Yeah, they do a great job down there.
They really do.
You know, one of the things that we began doing at the housing agency is we've got a 4-person transitional home that we've got 4 rooms for rent. It's $275 a month, but you know, we're working with Kinixu Health Services to provide case management and help people go through their entire process. So they get a 2-year stay, capacity to stay there, and if they're on disability or Social Security income or have some other type of support, whether it's Medicare or anything else, they're able to kind of coalesce all their services together at Kinixu, and then we give them a room, shared living facility, but they have their own room and bathroom and kind of a single room occupancy situation. And we've got 2 rooms that are open that we're still taking applications for.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
yeah. So, you know, there's
probably have a wait list.
When we talk about, hey, there's unique options. This is one of the reasons why we're doing this show.
Yeah.
Is because there's a lot of things going on that nobody actually has a clue about.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
So, you know, the more conversations we can have, the better. All right, so we have some magic appearing cups because we took a short break. But with that, we were talking about the Service Provider Information, or SPIN network, right? The SPIN. we've had the privilege of participating, and I know you've got another one coming up here soon. One of the things that I am so excited about with service providers, specifically with Spin, is that we get to hear a lot of things we don't normally get to hear. There's a lot of people who are providing things that you would never even know about. I remember just my mind being blown at every Spin meeting when you get the updates on what's happening with mental health and with drug and alcohol addiction recovery, and just all of these amazing things that are happening here. And I think those Spin meetings are very, very informative. But how do you get it all to work together when you've got so many people, so many providers? How does it work for the resource center to keep track and get people in the right place?
It's a great idea. I mean, that's a great question, because you're right. You've got professionals who are busy. You've got, they have their own client loads, and then we'll call someone and they'll help us and take someone on an urgent basis. But what the Spin community has done by coming together 4 times a year and by staying in touch with them regularly through email updates, we call and check everybody once a year. We want to make sure that our resources are good.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that they're still relevant. And so it's really serving as that hub that we do, and we do so well as the connectors, that our service providers now are referring to each other, because I could refer someone for a mental health crisis.
Right.
And through their counseling, they find out something else. And two things happen. Either they refer them back to us, and I've been told by Kinixu, actually, they're one of our really great partners, that
they're phenomenal.
They really are. and they'll tell us, we're so confident when we refer back to you guys. But also now from them being in network and collaboration together, they'll know, I know where you need to go. Right?
Yeah, totally.
And so, and they all know that they have access, phone calls with us or the website. But one thing we've done is because not everybody's on a smartphone, not everybody's connected. We do a resource directory. And
which I took a photo of that. Did you see it? I took a photo and I put it on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, announcing that we were having you on.
Was it the new one?
Yeah, the 2019.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Here's the interesting thing about this. So there's about 150 resources in here. It certainly isn't everything that we have, but these are really like crisis lines, meal sites, real things that deal with I need help now issues.
Yeah, that's good.
So we did
Can I see it?
We're all about data. So, and you mentioned Becca. She's our amazing board member who's really led this organization and who's been my mentor. And I'm just
she's awesome.
So I just learned so much from her. But she really likes data. She likes metrics. She likes numbers. And so with the platform that we've built,
that's right,
we have good data. But we went back and we did a look for 2 years, and it went like July to this past June. And we've distributed 2,000 of those, okay? So they go to first responders, they go to schools, they go to all the meal sites, they're at the food bank, they're at the hospital, they're at Kinixu, they're, our providers all have them.
We had a bunch at our church.
Yeah, in fact, I spoke in September at the Bonner County Sheriff's. They were doing a day-long training on suicide prevention and awareness for the officers. Okay. And they had me come and just talk about, because most of the officers didn't know about the resource center.
That's crazy.
I know. What? So they were really happy. So I took them, like 50 of them. Okay, so 2 years, 2,000. I printed 1,000, picked them up on September 3rd. by September 9th, we had 150 left. So
Oh, wow.
Bonner General Hospital is just financed printing another 500, and it's a hot item.
That's awesome.
I mean, because it's relevant.
It is relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, one of the beauties of living in a small town is that you can make long-term, good, big connections. You know, you recognize somebody on the street, you know who they are, you know what's going on. One of the problems with a small town is that when there's things that are going on, you don't know where to go.
Yeah.
You don't know who to turn to. So this is a phenomenal resource. Do you find that maybe I want to talk about some of your clients for a little bit, and maybe you have a story or not, but I imagine that you've got lots of testimonies of people who've called the number, gone to the website, and found what they needed and were able to get some help.
Yeah.
So I know Becca loves the metrics, but what's the most common phone call that you guys get?
Housing.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just because we just did mental health and substance abuse, and you know those co-occur.
Creating an awareness about
Right.
those. Yes, they do.
Those two things co-occur often together. We've had a lot of mental health calls lately,
Wow.
and the good thing is we're equipped to handle it. Housing, we do the best we can with what we
Right.
have.
It's a challenge.
Yeah, I know you. Yeah, I know you get calls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's who you are. But we get calls every day,
Yeah.
and but there's people who the community knows that this is an issue.
Yeah.
I just went to
Yeah.
that comprehensive city planning meeting
Yeah, I was
last
there
week.
too. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. And they know they have to address it.
Yep.
I
They
mean,
do.
we have to address some sort of what the consultant called it. He didn't call it affordable housing. He called it local housing.
And what's funny is that we've quit using the word affordable housing a couple of years ago.
Oh,
Like
really?
even on our logo, like it's similar to that, but it says developing local housing.
Oh.
You know, because affordability is always relative, right?
Yeah.
So people who are in extreme crisis, what's affordable to them might not be a bedroom.
Right.
You know, it just depends on their situation. But HUD gives us kind of a standard of what they think's affordable. And really, if you're going to buy a home, they think, well, you know, if it's about a third of your income, then that's affordable or less, right? A third of your income or less. If that's your mortgage payment or rent payment, that's affordable. Well, we know that the rent payments here are not affordable for the average median-sized household. Those rents run 40 to 50 to 60% of the median income, which is it's just the way that the market is. I'm not saying anything good, bad, or ugly about it. It's just the way it is. So we try and help people, you know, buy homes and get into homes and do other things. But we found that local people that are working, Alice,
Yeah.
right? Those people who are stuck in a rough situation and they have a job. Mm-hmm. They're working, maybe even 2 jobs, and they can't afford a place to live here. Mm-hmm. Those are the people that we really, we've just got a huge heart for those people.
Right.
You know, when we got the opportunity to take over the Friends at Trestle Creek property, and we took the 4 single-family resident properties out there, those houses, and we turned them into market-based rents for, I think, $625, $750 for a 3-bedroom, $750 for a 3-bedroom. And I was on a conference call with Idaho Housing. Somebody says, "Oh, that's so expensive." I'm like,
No.
That's actually very inexpensive. 20-minute drive. It's less expensive, but you know we can provide that. Every opportunity to help people who live here and work here. Those issues have to be addressed. And like you said, the comp plan meeting was very interesting because we realized in 20 years, what's it going to look like here?
Yeah.
Unless we do something now, you know?
Well, and the key is it's the people, you say the people who work here and sometimes two jobs. I mean, I've had staff members who, he teaches, he has a second job, she has two jobs, and
Yep.
they have two small children,
Yep.
and it's just to live here.
Yep.
And so but those are a lot of times the service providers. I mean, now,
Totally.
we know that tourism is big. I'm in Leadership Sandpoint right now and
Yeah.
learning everything there is to know about Sandpoint.
It's amazing. It's an amazing program.
I really like it
Yeah,
so
it's
far.
good.
I think for me, who's taken a deep dive in the community, I thought, okay, this is perfect. Here I
That
go.
is perfect, especially if you're new here. I love it. That's
Yeah,
great.
I mean, Kate McAllister is really running a great program there. I'm so pleased to be in it. But we've got to support tourism. We've got to support all the things that we want to do to live and play and work here.
Totally.
It
Yeah.
takes people, and it
does.
takes it's hard on these young families. Some of them they're working hard
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're struggling. And when you got daycare, look at what it costs to put a child in daycare. You've got kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
a lot.
then I've had staff members going,
Is it worth it?
right?
Yeah. Well, and what's really interesting is I think that a lot of the community is unaware of some of those day-to-day issues that we work with consistently. They're like, oh, well, just get a better job. Well, we were working in an area where we are grateful for these manufacturing jobs that we have.
Yeah.
Whether it's Quest or Lighthouse or Encoder or
Yeah.
there's these whether it's school district, hospital, these large employers that are able to employ a fair amount of people here and keep local people living here.
Right.
The difficulty is there's a cap on the wages that they can pay from a
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
perspective. How much can they
Right.
pay and still maintain a product that people will buy, right? So there's just the economics of it that make it very difficult. I think some people get mad because the employers aren't paying enough wages, and yet they've got to sell a product at a certain price point. So there's so many challenges in running these businesses, and yet they have stuck it out here in Sandpoint. Not everyone has, right? We've had
Right.
recently a very large business leave town for all the way across the country to South Carolina, right? Thorne moved to South Carolina, and I got to know one of the guys from South Carolina
Yeah.
who was, and he loved it up here. He's like, oh man, this is great up here, but there's a different wage that can be paid. There's a different
Cost of doing business.
cost of living that's just different. That's not putting so much pressure on the employee there.
Yeah.
So we live in a unique place,
Yeah.
right?
But just to,
Yeah.
to focus on, back to, these people are working hard, and a lot of people that come here don't realize it, or if they're own second homes here, or whatever the case, or they move here and they're in retirement and it's
Yeah.
all good. It's pretty invisible. That 48% that we serve,
Yep.
they're kind of invisible, and a lot of them feel invisible.
Okay.
So we've really made it like my focus. I love this because it's only once in a lifetime that you could have a 2020 vision for your marketing idea,
Seriously,
right?
Yep. Once in a
So
lifetime.
we really want to say we see you.
Okay, that's good.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's kind of what we want to say is we see you. We
That's
know you're
good.
working hard.
Yeah.
And
Very, very few people that there is the populations that are in need break into several groups, right? So you do have some people who are fully dependent on subsidies and fully dependent on receiving some type of assistance in order to survive.
yeah,
That's a very small percentage overall from what I found in the people that I work with. I'm sure there's some real data on that,
yeah.
because most people that I know that are struggling are working.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anyone that any stories that really stand
Oh,
out to
I
you?
do actually. We just did So when I started at the Resource Center, we really didn't have any collateral, and I
Okay.
thought, we need to have some collateral. So here's a couple that we did on our this piece I developed really just for donors, because I know that we live in a very generous community, and
do.
people want to help. They want to know, what's their money going to, right? So we tried to make it really clear. But here's a couple that I shared. A client asked if one of the things we do as far as data, we follow up with everybody.
That's good.
And we say, did you get the help that you needed? How did it go? And that's, a lot of times where we find out, did they call or not call? Because honestly, you can spoon feed somebody a mindful action plan and call them a week later and they haven't done anything.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So stress will mess with you.
So a lot of these we find out when we call to do our follow-up. So a client was asked if our referrals were helpful and she tearfully replied, the most helpful thing was that somebody at SCRC did was follow up with me. It meant the world to me that someone really cared. How simple is that?
So
right?
simple. Wow.
And then here's a guy. I called SCRC because my car broke down and I needed help to get it repaired. I needed to get it quickly repaired to save my job and get my girlfriend, who was to the doctor because she had a high-risk pregnancy. They successfully referred me to the help I needed. Now I'm back to work and looking forward to the birth of my first child. You can't believe the calls we get.
That's so great.
Real calls, and also, do you know if the spot bus stops on 3rd?
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Or when are the follies? We get all kinds of calls. I moved to Idaho as a single mom with 3 children to provide hospice care for my mother. SCRC helped me find low-income housing and other things that I needed. Now I'm employed and settled. Life is better.
Wow.
That's kind of a smattering.
That's great.
That we get all kinds of calls.
That's awesome.
Lot of veterans calls.
Okay. Yeah.
And the good news is there's a lot of help for veterans.
Yeah, good.
They don't need, there's a lot of help.
That's awesome.
And right now there's so many people doing firewood for anybody that needs it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. One of the things that happens over time is that organizations like the Community Resource Center, they get kind of enmeshed in the community. They start to become part of the fabric of the community over time.
Yeah.
And in small communities, it takes a lot longer because everybody's a little suspect. Are you going to stick around? Are you going to be around? I know when I was in working for myself in the mortgage industry, everybody's like, "Are you going to be around in 2 years? Are you going to be around in 3 years?" I lasted 4. Okay.
Yeah.
But after living here for 15, I think it's just interesting to see the dynamics of time. And how long have you guys been doing this at the Resource Center?
Well, we're coming up on our 10th anniversary.
10th anniversary.
So we have really, like I said, my mission has been to clarify the message.
Yeah.
And I talked about the 3 influences. I want to touch back on the third one.
Okay.
Which is get involved.
Yeah.
And that is such a huge part of what makes all of this work. So I don't know if you know this or not, but interesting factoid from leadership standpoint. There's 303 registered nonprofits and foundations in Sandpoint.
Wow.
150 of them are active.
Wow.
That means we're all somehow competing a lot of times for the same dollars. Right?
Yeah, totally.
And so because we're connectors and we really believe in really serving everyone, including other nonprofits, we help them find volunteers, fill their needs, promote their events, because I really believe in the law of reciprocity. It's going to come back.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know, someone once talked about reaping what you sow.
Yeah.
You know, there was a dude.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
a dude.
Mm-hmm.
And so our Volunteer Idaho Panhandle program, or VIP, sorry, another acronym. But we live in a world of acronyms, don't we?
Yeah, we sure do.
I mean,
yeah.
So
Yeah.
somebody teased me about it recently, and I was like, what are you going to do? I mean, I wish Sandpoint Community Resource Center wasn't so long, too. So we say SCRC.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah. It's like I had somebody notice that we don't have Bonner Community Housing Agency printed on our brochures. It's just BCHA. BCHA, because it's like at some point you can call us by our full name, but everybody gets it wrong anyways.
Right.
So like,
exactly. That's like us, too.
everybody thinks we are the county. No, we're not the county.
So one interesting thing, so the VIP program really serves individual volunteers,
Mm-hmm.
because you cannot believe how many people call.
Mhm.
I just moved to town, or I'm back for 5 months, and I want to get involved. Where can I go?
Right.
Right?
That's so great.
So then we also work with organizations to help them get their volunteer opportunities posted.
Okay, good.
We use a platform, and it's soon to be on our website, embedded on our website. It's through volunteermatch.org, which is a international
Yeah.
organization, actually.
Yeah, they do a great job.
And it's free, it's easy, we'll help you. We, a lot of times, will help an organization sign up. We'll be one of the administrators, and we'll help them the
That's
first like 90, 120 days,
Wow.
get their posts up. But here's our great success story with using this. Number one, we found our web designer 5 years ago on Volunteer Match,
That's awesome.
right? She lives in Kansas.
Wow.
How cool is that? She's
Yeah.
still with us. She's been out once.
Well, and your site is so functional, has a lot of functionality to it, which is great.
Well, part of our 2020 vision is that we want to, where Renee's really created a platform to manage all kinds of data, manage volunteer data, resources, service provider information network, that's all back end data.
Mm-hmm.
And the platform, we believe, is licensable, if that's a word. We want to license it because we believe every community, first starting with Idaho,
That's so great, Linnis. That's
every
so great.
community should have
Oh,
a
my.
resource center.
Totally, that's so great.
And we've done it. We've taken 10 years. We've got the recipe. We've got the blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
And so we found Renee.
Mhm.
And then this past year, we did a post that we were looking for new board members.
Uh-huh.
We found 2 great ones.
Wow.
And one
Awesome.
of them doesn't even live here full time yet. And he would have landed on somebody's board.
Sure. Yeah.
And
yeah. That's
so
Very
just
cool.
an encouragement to organizations, contact us, let us help you.
Was really wanting to dive in about this 10th anniversary.
Okay.
So tell us all about that. What's happening?
So we're 10 years old. Can you believe it?
Yeah. Yeah. What are you doing to celebrate?
So we're going to have an event at Trinity at City Beach. So real shout out to Justin Dick. He is
Right.
so involved in this community.
Yeah, he's done a great job.
Everywhere I turn, he is really the quintessential community volunteer advocate. He's just there.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are having an event November 19th from 5 to 7:30. I'd like to invite anybody to come.
Cool.
Call
Okay.
us. I'm trying to get an RSVP
Right.
so that
Figure out how
we
much
have the
you gotta
food,
do. Yeah,
right?
uh-huh.
And we're gonna, it's always good, I think, to look back a little bit, but you can't drive the car looking in your rearview mirror. So
Right.
we just want to look forward.
Cool.
And this community has really helped us really bring hope and restore hope one by one. This is one client at a time.
Yeah.
Nothing's
Yeah.
in mass. And now I look at it that they hold the key, the community does, for the
Right.
next 10 years.
Yeah.
Because the harsh reality is it costs money to help people.
It
You know
does.
that.
It does.
I
Absolutely.
mean, you run a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you
Yeah,
know, it
yeah.
takes money. And so I just really want to focus on that partnership with
That's
the
good.
community
Yeah.
and just, remind everybody. I heard something recently and it really stuck with me because you saw from my brochure, it's you hold the key and I don't know, I like keys, but I heard something that small keys open big doors.
Right.
It's
true. That's good. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. We're just
So-
going to look ahead.
And you're also getting an award.
We are.
And tell us a little bit about that. What is that? What's that from? I was excited to hear about it, but tell our viewers a
National,
little bit about it.
it's Idaho Philanthropy Day.
Uh-huh.
So it's put on by the Idaho Nonprofit Center,
Right.
Idaho Community Foundation, Wells Fargo, and there's some other sponsors of it. But they divide Idaho into 3 sections. So, of course, we're North Idaho, and it's Coeur d'Alene North. So they wanted to acknowledge outstanding businesses
Okay.
who give a lot to the communities, outstanding individuals, adults and youth, which I was really pleased to see that they're acknowledging youth because a lot of youth are volunteering, and outstanding nonprofit. And we were one of 3 named in North Idaho, the only one in Sandpoint. I'm super
Now,
proud.
what's the name of the organization giving it out again?
It is through North Idaho Nonprofit Center.
Okay, the nonprofit center.
Yeah,
Okay.
nonprofit and Idaho Community Foundation and Wells
Okay.
Fargo. Those were the 3
Right.
big players.
Okay.
But we're in great company. The other
Yeah.
2 nonprofits were Kootenai Health Foundation, which is huge, and Gizmo, which is
Okay,
like
yeah.
the children's kind of discovery museum.
Yeah.
But I'm just amazed with all the nonprofits there are out there, and they're all doing amazing work in the community. We're really honored.
That's awesome.
We're
That's
really
awesome.
honored.
And so, right lining up with the anniversary, 10-year anniversary, you get a major statewide award for the Northern region. And specifically, is it Best Nonprofit? Is that the award?
Outstanding nonprofit.
Outstanding
And
nonprofit. That's
you
good.
know how someone from North Idaho or from Idaho Community Foundation nominated us. And the reason they nominated us was, besides what we're doing to help individuals in the community in need, was because of the help that we're giving other nonprofits. They said they see us as a gateway because of the VIP
huge.
program.
It's so
It's huge.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Well, yeah.
That's great.
So-
That's great. When you look at, the work that the Sandpoint Community Resource Center is doing, you talked about a vision for 2020 and letting people be seen. Do you think that Sandpoint and Bonner Boundary County, do you think that there's what's the right question I'm looking for there? I think that I'll say it a little differently. I think that there are inherent challenges to getting the word out, and when it comes to meeting needs and finding ways to connect people with the resources that they need, do you feel like the resource center, the way it's structured now and what you guys are doing, do you feel like have you guys reached a peak as far as like the potential of what you can do, or do you feel like there's a whole nother level of what the resource center can provide the community?
We've got a big vision.
Okay.
For going forward, like I said, even offering the platform that we've built.
Right, I love that.
and
awesome.
to other communities,
Yeah,
which would
cool.
create an income stream,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And which would help us help more people.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just this year, I'll speak to anybody. I'll go talk to your book group.
It was
I'll
funny.
talk to everybody.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, would you be interested? And it was like immediate phone call from Linnis. Like,
Yeah.
let's talk.
Yeah.
You know, it's great. It's good.
But it's just to create an awareness.
Yeah,
An
that's
awareness
good.
that we're here, that we're the hub. Whether you're a nonprofit, you've got needs, whether you're an individual
Yeah.
and you want to volunteer,
Right.
if you're a provider and you want to give something, or you want to connect with other providers.
And I love the simplicity of the three areas that you operate in, obviously, with the individual potential clients, people that are in need, the volunteers who are looking for a place to serve, as well as all the providers. So you've really been able to say, okay, when it comes to providing for people's needs in this area, we're going to look at a holistic approach to all three aspects of it instead of just one side. I think a lot of nonprofits kind of get pigeonholed in their one little thing, and you guys kind of decided to become an umbrella a little bit to that.
That's a good description, because in January, no collateral, I'm like, okay, we got this great website, we do these great things. How do you answer the question, what do you do? Right? Do you have half an hour? To really, but really we kind of have settled on, we're really the connectors, we're the hub. What do you need? And that's
good.
That's where we're going to focus. And it's not just volunteers for other organizations. We do great training for volunteers.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of people that want to, but they're just not sure. Like, I don't know if I can do that. I'm not a professional, and you don't need to be, right? So I'm
Sure.
doing a shameless plug for a resource specialist. And
shameless plugs here.
And also, one of the big things we're going to do in 2020 is we're doing our first golf tournament.
Wow. Okay.
At the Idaho Club.
Good for
and
you. That's great.
Miss Becca is chairing it. She's also a pretty savvy golfer.
Oh, good. Good.
Or skilled golfer, I should call her. And we need an army of volunteers for that. That's
awesome.
kind of a in and out,
it's a
done in
day
a quick
event.
season, right? Kind of done in a day project if people want to volunteer. But they'll get to see the new Idaho Clubhouse. That'll all be done. We'll probably be one of the first events in there.
Cool.
It's in June,
Good.
June 22nd.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
that's new territory for us.
Yeah, no, that's great though, and I think those types of events, create tremendous awareness of what you do and how you do it, because you're trying to get sponsors, and it takes quite a marketing budget just to get an event like that off the ground. But man, they're so productive. Great. And so when you think about our audience, people who are watching this, you're going to have service providers, you're going to have people in need, you're going to have potential donors, you're going to have different people from every walk of life. What are some things about the Resource Center that they need to know or should know in order to effectively work with the Resource Center? Anything particular that we haven't talked about yet?
Well, I think, and this is kind of could be, maybe taken as an emotional statement, but here's what I've learned. When your world's falling apart, it's not one thing, it's everything. So you could take that, it's everything that I can't pay my electric bill, I can't pay my rent, I can't do, or it's everything emotionally, right? And
that's good.
Those are
That's
the
a great way to
needs.
put it, yeah.
Those are the needs that we're addressing. That's where we're really getting in and trying to. It's not a handout, because we don't give anything out.
Yep.
It's really a hand up to change the trajectory of someone's life, a family's life, right?
That's great. That's great. Well, Linnis, I so appreciate you coming in and
Thank
spending the
you.
time with us.
Thank you.
We're going to put a link to the Resource Center in the description on the video. So if anybody's
Excellent.
wanting to connect, they can just click on the link in the description section. And of course, this will be on Facebook as well as YouTube.
Excellent.
And we'll use all of our social media to get that out there. And we'll tag you guys in there. So we want to thank you guys for watching and taking the time to watch. And we know that these are longer conversations because I think there's a lot of things that we don't get to hear in short sound bites. And so for those people willing to take the time, great. We will put we're doing topical time markers in the description.
Oh,
So
right.
if people want to talk about the volunteers, or they want to talk about the spin, or
Yeah,
they want to, here's the time mark, and then you just scroll over to it and hit play. So you can just kind of pick and choose a little bit if you don't have a lot of time and you want to hear about a special award that you're getting. So however that is. So we want to thank you guys for watching. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, it's good.
I mean,
It's
this
good.
is going to be good. I'm going to tune in and watch.
Yay, good.
Because I think you're going to have some great guests. And
I think so too.
Yeah.
The next three are all running for mayor. So, it's going to be good.
Excellent.
So tell me, before we go, if somebody said, hey, I really want to connect with you personally, do you just want them to call the Resource Center and ask for you? Is that the easiest way to get a hold of you? Okay, great.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thank
Good.
you.
Okay,
Thanks.
well, thanks, guys, and have a great day.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's good.
Good.